Hi, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you hear this show. And this is the Dave and Tom show, Dave Emmons and Tom Althouse. And my buddy Tom is a screenplay writer. He wrote The Immortals and he got ripped off from that. And they went into The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. So he's been fighting that battle for some time, but he's also a musician, an actor, and he has been involved in a lot of this background stuff in the Cabal and everything. So he's an expert at that. So we're going to be talking about that. Uh, and myself, Dave Emmons. And since I'm a slave to fashion and a slave to marketing, I'm going to show my book. It's actually in the top 100 UFO books, and there's a lot of UFO books out there. And then my book, Senseless Wars, that's just now starting to get out there and sell. So buy it. So I'm just a slave to all that stuff. I'm sorry, I'm hogging up the time here, Tom. And also the little flag on my head, that's to hide the bald spot for you people who don't like bald, shiny heads. But I will take it off. But the two teethies I got here, the two front. Now, I know somebody's made some comments about it, but you can pick out my corn on the cob, Tom. There's always one row of corn kernel that's left around the corn.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. So you gotta make a sense of humor out of what God gave you. Yeah. So we also are syndicated through WDY Radio. Eddie's my man there, and he's out of Maryland, and also Eddie Carson. That's his full name, but it's on Odyssey Radio live.com. So look us up on audio there. We're going to give you the video portion here on Facebook and all the other sites that we go to. So this is the current events show, Dave and Tom show. And Tom, you have any opening statements? You don't have a bald head, so you don't have to talk about this.
No, all I can say is that, it's the world is just turning, it's cooking, and there's more and more every day. It just keeps intensifying. So that usually, portends change.
Right.
We'll have some good change.
Right. Okay. Let's read off the current events to start with, and we're going to fill in the gaps with what Tom, especially what Tom is thinking about in behind the screen of the Wizard of Oz, we call it. So here are some of the UPI top stories. Japan had 8 million people evacuate because of a typhoon. It's a Manmadal typhoon, and UPI also said that there's a hurricane Fiona in Puerto Rico, and all the power was knocked out in Puerto Rico. And that was just a class one, hurricane. UPI also, I got this, India's Gautam Adani surpasses Jeff Bezos to become the third world richest man. He's been involved in coal, data centers, renewable energy. Let's talk, we can talk about the Green New Deal and AOC, and also cheap labor. But Tom, I think I'll stop there. Do you want to add on to that?
Well, that's interesting. They're talking about too these organic farms. They say it's organic,
right,
are actually using a lot of basically slave labor. Basically,
there you go.
In other countries that are being forced to do this, and they're given nothing, and then they stamp it organic when there's really not that parameters to make it organic. They can use insecticides, other things, still called it organic, but they're having these people work for nothing and making a killing. So the organic food industry, just may remind me of, is really a crooked one.
Right. And last week we talked about India being the number one person with slave labor. And I mentioned that, so I guess I can go into that. And it was mentioned by UPI and foreign, the world news outfit, that they're number one, and then North Korea. And of course, you have other countries involved, but those are the two. But it's just curious. We got cut off real quick.
Yeah, we did. I had trouble getting on.
So let's go to the next story. Let's get out of this one. So the Vatican envoy sent by the Pope, Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, he sent him to the Ukraine. He distributes humanitarian aid, and this is his fourth visit since the war has started. And this is World News outlet that put this story out. And they also are talking about all the thousands of young kids that are being transported out of Ukraine into Russia, and thousands of missing people, and foster kids and adopted kids they don't have an accounting of. And I know you talked about Ukraine and how they've been involved in corruption in the past, and now Russia getting involved. We don't trust them a bit. Uh, this just goes into what's going on our southern border, this human trafficking. It's a shame, and we need to stop it. That both political parties need to get together and stop that. Your thoughts on that, Tom? I know you got some.
Yeah, I do. I have some really deep ones. I think as far as our borders and things, I think it'd be nice to hire or you're never out of the Marines, but Marines actually to come in and be the policing forces. I don't trust a lot of the police after what I've seen because the strings that control the puppets
Right.
have control of the police, often the way the structure is set up. But I do trust the Marines.
And funding.
I think they've got a system built on honor and integrity and brotherhood. And I think I would trust Marines taking care of our needs. If there was a choice between 9/11 and calling the Marines and something was wrong with my family, I'd call the Marines.
Bingo. Yeah. and you know, that's what's going on with the military now. There's a lot of dissension in the military about what's going on with it. I don't want to get into that part of it, you know, the big V, but that's something in the military, but there's other things too. There's just like the Russian troops, there's becoming a lower morale in our military because of all these political divides.
Yeah.
And it's starting to show up. And that's what's concerning the FBI director, Ray, and the DOJ. They're a little concerned about that. You know, why is all this happening? Why are soldiers, turning to, listen to other conspiracy? Now, we're saying conspiracy theories. Anything we say here, if the news media doesn't tell us and I don't have the source, then it's into the conspiracy realm, and we're not going to come out and say one way or the other about it. But also, we know the Pope. There's been some controversy about the Pope's background and about the Vatican being involved in some other things too, right, Tom?
Yeah, well, I mean, the way our presidents are elected in this country basically is correlated with how the popes are elected in the Vatican City. It's like, it's politics. It's right. All politics. Mm-hmm. And so politics doesn't lend yourself to the best person or the best candidates. It's who gets the popularity, the ones backing them. And a lot of times it's the elite.
Yes. The Queen's burial, I watched some of that today. It was beautiful. It was a really beautiful ceremony. Now we have King Charles III. There was 500 world dignitaries, plus other people that Tom and I are familiar with that are there.
Oh yeah.
If we said anything, it'd be a conspiracy. But there's a lot of different people there that have different thoughts. And Prince Harry and Meghan, actually, they were kept out of the active royal meetings over the weekend because Prince Harry is not an active royal member, as King Charles says. So he was kept out of those, but he was allowed to wear his uniform, and also he was in the ceremony today as usual. But they said King Charles has changed his mind a little bit, lightened up a little bit. They've been kind of a little bit uptight there to the royalties, the royal family. Yeah, sure. They've been uptight.
My family.
Yeah, but we don't know all the ins and outs of all that either. They just
that's true.
But no, you hear a lot of the stuff. We'll leave this up to the audience, whatever they remember or seen from the past. The Queen apparently did a good job for 70 years, so kudos to her. UPI, that was in world news. UPI said there was 2 magnitude 6.5 Richter scale earthquakes in Taiwan. No fatal injuries, just some people injured. And I'm thinking, is China practicing their earthquake machine, whatever?
Yeah. Or are we practicing it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, yeah. I always go to that model where we're the ones that grabbed power after World War II, and the Allies never let it go.
Right.
So it's time to share the sandbox.
Yeah, right. And also the Washington Times, it's an opinion, okay? An opinion. Intel reports that President Xi of China told Putin during their meeting, and this was a leak from the Intel people, they will attack Taiwan this fall, 2022. Yeah, that was in a report from Washington Times opinion poll. Opinion. It's opinion, written opinion.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, if they announced that, I'm like, what? Who?
No, they didn't announce it. This was an Intel secret report, a leak, as we call them here. But that's that's kind of scary. We know it's coming probably sooner or later, and I hope we're prepared for it. In the UPI also, world news, Russian forces in Ukraine getting beaten back by the Ukrainian forces in the eastern part of their country. And there's a low morale in Russian soldiers, and that's becoming common, like as around the world. Soldiers
Sure,
are having low
sure.
morale because we're up against politics that just can't be overcome. And there's a lot of, well, we got deep state and everything else going on. So if they don't fight in Ukraine, they get shot. And if they run home to Russia, then they're considered deserters and then they die anyway. So they don't have a choice. And they said Putin is under a lot of pressure from local leaders.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on that?
God, well, I didn't know that they're still doing the World War II policy like Stalingrad, where if you turn around, you get shot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was still going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Russia does it all the time.
Really?
Yeah. They're assassinating their oligarchs. You know, they're doing that type of thing. So yeah, soldiers are afraid. Now, if there has been some commanding officers who did not do it, some soldiers just walked off and left their tanks, but the commanding officers did not do anything to them or penalize them, because I think a lot of the commanding officers are kind of tired of that war too.
Sure.
They're tired of fighting and killing. Both sides are really tired of fighting and killing. And
How
like
long has
you're
it been going
saying,
on?
yeah,
How long has it been going on?
this war, it's been going on for about 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah, since February.
Right.
Yeah, so it's about 7 months. So there's been a lot of fighting and dying. Over 50,000 Russian troops have died, but I heard the numbers are higher than that, 70,000. I don't know. That's just an opinion of mine that from what I've been hearing, but World News didn't report that. I didn't get that. And then the finally, real quick story before we get into our specialized secret societies. Google mistakenly deposits $249,999 into a security expert's account. They called it a mistake. I guess we can leave that up to the audience to kind of figure that one out.
Yeah.
Here's something that Nancy Pelosi did. Now, what we're trying to do, Tom and I, we're not trying to get into conspiracy theories. We're not talking out of our heads, and we're not talking about what we want. We want peace, and we want, civil, agreements and civil resolutions to all these political fights. But in Azerbaijani, foreign minister on Sunday called a speech by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi supporting Armenia is deeply regrettable and will escalate tension amid her visit to the country and the rise of the conflict at the Armenian-Azerbaijani border. Pelosi led a congressional delegation to Armenia on Saturday to meet with her counterpart in Yerevan after clashes over disputed territory in Nagorno-Karabakh. So and it's left 200 people dead, but that's starting to brew up, and that could be a result of maybe Russian propaganda that's getting in there. Pelosi noted that the U.S. Congress in 2019 passed legislation in which the U.S. formally recognized the Armenian genocide, which President Biden made official last year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what she said. It doesn't say.
Really?
But she sided on the wrong side, and that's going to cause the lopsided situation there probably.
Well, it always occurs to me, Dave, these people go on these trips with dignitaries. What do they expect to accomplish? And a lot of times it turns into photo ops, and it's a political move. And it's like, could they not achieve something by telephone or Skype? Right. I mean, it's like, if you're going to disrupt borders or different sovereignty by appearing when you're obviously going to cause contention, then wouldn't you think that you would maybe deal it in a softer way? Yeah. If you're just trying to make a point of, I support these people. That's like banging on someone's door and coming in with guns blazing in order to make a statement when you could have just made a phone call saying, I'm sorry, your child scraped his knee. Yeah. You don't need to put on bravado.
Right. Yeah. And it seemed like every leader that goes overseas, even Trump, when he went over, when he left, he thought he had some sound decisions, and he did. But then the European leaders were giving him the bird as he flew out of the country. So they weren't happy with everything, and they want more, I guess, out of the U.S. and we're not going to give them, but we're giving a lot more money now to Ukraine. Also, that's going to happen. We're fighting, helping them fight that war. All this money is going out, and what's it going to do?
Yeah, America needs to step lighter. We need to be lighter in our touch, because when we go, like, what is the attitude of many different other Europeans, other people around the country, third world countries, which we should probably stop calling them third world countries. Right. That's to me. Other countries on par with us. It's like when we go overseas, I think a lot of times it looks like we're imposing, we're acting like we're cowboys, and we're going to be like, hey, we're here and we get what we want, and we put a lot of look on it, and we shake firm hands, and it's like, I mean, I really think we need a softer touch. Right. We really need to send a lighter presence and respect this concern of other nations that we could be overstepping.
Right on, Tom. And also, talking about banging on doors, I just read a story in UPI about a kitty cat that was gone 4 or 5 days, and he come back home and he rang the doorbell to get back into the house. Yeah, these animals are getting smarter. How come I'm not getting smarter? I mean, and a bear opens up a car door. He just goes right to the latch and opens it up.
Animals see all the stupid things we do and say, "I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that." They quietly listen, which humans haven't really developed that yet.
No, they're living their lives. Okay, let's get to the First Amendment thing here. This is reclaiming America. So we're not saying this is all true. Anytime it's on the opposite side, we got to disclaim that we don't know that it's true or not. But it has Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, during appearance on the Today Show, so it makes it official. This morning, that was a couple of days ago, First Lady Biden taught classes at community colleges for years, came out strongly against banning books, any kind. So she's actually standing up against her ideology, her party, because they are banning books. And it says parents and politicians are now weighing in on what books should be in our school libraries and what their kids are being taught. Where is the line, in your opinion, of how much to say to the parents how much say the parents should have when it comes to what their kids are learning in school? Well, Jill Biden says, well, I think with everything that's been going on, parents saw how hard teachers work and how difficult this job really is. When I kind of skip over a word, it's because it's a word. It's a no-no. Okay. It's kind of an FBI blackout. Okay.
All right.
And I think if they work together in their school district and decide what they want with their children, that'd be better. She said there is a balance between this book should be in a library. This book is under review. She said all books should be in a library. All books. This is America. We don't ban books. Goody for her.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Listen to the ideology that she's coming from, though.
The ideology is good, but the thing is, like, you can't just have any book for students. I mean, it's like, I don't know, how to smoke marijuana and how to mix meth.
Right.
It's like some of these things are, the anarchist guide to bomb making.
Right.
It's just no.
Yeah. And the fentanyl that's coming into this country. It's just amazing, and with all these rainbow color pills that these kids are getting, it's killing people. What are they saying? 100,000 plus a year, and they're killing us from the inside out. Remember, communism years ago said that they were going to do that to us. We're going to die from the inside out, not from the outside in. So that's what they're doing to us. But the border is wide open, and Kamala Harris said it wasn't.
One of our biggest enemies, besides communism, is fascism. But we turn fascism into something glamorous to confront communism. Yeah. And even Ernest Hemingway had said, that I'm being tapped, I'm being harassed. Before he died, he was saying that a certain organization was doing this to him. His friends didn't think it happened. After certain files were released by certain alphabet boys, we found out they were doing it to him. Mm-hmm. And so fascism, he accused a certain group of being fascists. Ernest Hemingway did.
Right.
So what you're looking at is a situation where we've been so pushed to look at communism as the enemy. It's communism and fascism.
Right. Well, we're hearing all these leaders in the Democratic Party saying there is no problem at the border. And we all know, I think almost all people, 70% or so people know there's a problem with the border. And now they're sending these buses to New York, Washington, D.C., and even up there in the rich territories, that they didn't want up there. So they don't like it now. Now those cities that have all this
Sure.
stuff going on, these cities that protect illegal aliens, now they're complaining about it, and hopefully we'll come to some kind of solution on that. Let's with
They
the
shouldn't
drugs.
make a move on that, Dave. They shouldn't make a move on that until they have the infrastructure in place and the funding in place to take care of the needs of the people coming across.
Right.
When my car was busted down on Route 10, right where they call the kill zone, right near the border, where illegal immigrants come over and they're desperate for food and clothing. And the man who picked me up in the tow truck driver was an sniper for the Marines, wonderful man. He told me that that's the kill zone. You don't even get phone service in the area. And a woman had been murdered there and robbed by legal immigrants. So they're desperate for food, and there's got to be an infrastructure and funding in place first before you start busting them in, these people. Yeah. And the thing is that unless that's there, see if Congress is going to approve it, all this funding for them being taken care of, and then run your buses to cities that say yes.
Yeah. Did you see the hypocrisy at Martha's Vineyard? They only had about 60, I guess, illegal aliens sent there by Governor DeSantis. Mm-hmm. And they were up in arms about it, and they got them out of there real quick. They didn't want them in their community. So that's just kind of like a hypocrisy. Now, that's not conspiracy. That was on the news, and that's being talked about. That's something the UPI even mentioned. So we're not calling that a conspiracy. This is something that I think a lot of people are not used to, like the border towns are used to. They're not used to it. They don't like it, but they're being, just overrun by illegal aliens. And the northern states they don't see or feel the effects of it. But if everybody starts feeling the effects of it, then they're going to put pressure on the federal government to do something about it. And as long as you got Vice President Harris saying there is no problem at the border, that's hypocrisy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about. Just give me my phone block.
Yeah. And several of them were saying that, and congressmen too. Let's move on to this one. Conservative Dispatch. We've got to be careful on this one. They said that in the fall of 2019, there was a group of billionaires and global elites, including Bill Gates, called Event 201 or 201. It was a war game type event where they practice what they do with global ... darkened in, and they laid out a plan. And of course, in just a few months later, blackened out. All that we know is what happened, blackened out, is a coincidence. And so Gates went on to mention other things, blackened out, FBI blackened out. And he's planning that they're going to reduce the population. They said the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's heading up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new reproductive health services, blank out. Okay. Yeah. We could lower world population by 10 to 15%. And so that's right, Bill, and the elite cronies want to lower the world population. Blank, FBI blackened out statements. So, but it's
What kills me is Bill Gates is only Bill Gates because of the money he got illegally. I'll say it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to all these billionaires. And
they believe that it's okay. The ends justify the means, and you can do it. Dirty deal. Everyone does dirty deal. They put it in Game of Thrones.
Right.
The Merchants of Karth or something. Where it's like, they said, I had nothing and I rose up and here I am and I did terrible things along the way, but everyone does. No, that's not true. You're ripping off people with intellectual property. You're harming children to get there.
Right. Here's something more on Bill Gates. I thought I'd put this in our secret society thing. It's a goalkeeper's report, and it's by Bill Gates. So it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, September 13th. Each year, the Gates Foundation releases a report about the world's progress toward global goals. Set ambitions and set a set of ambitious objectives for 2030. That's where they want to go. We're adopted by the United Nations. So we didn't know that, did we?
Who's adopted by the United Nations?
This ambitious objective of the Gates Foundation.
Oh my God.
Global goals.
We're already at a 1 world society. Yeah.
And we call it the Goalkeepers Report, and it's published the 2022 editions. In a way, it's a sobering report. We found that because of the pandemic, no, block out conspiracy, and the war in Ukraine and other major setbacks has given this goalkeeper problems. Developments have slowed down, in some cases even reversed, to get the global goals back on track. So just like you were saying, the New World Order is kind of set back on some, and this kind of tells a little bit.
Ukraine set them back.
Yeah.
That's what the Rothschilds talked about. Yeah.
Right. And the reports highlight specific ways in which human ingenuity will help accelerate improvements around the world, including ways to prevent food crisis and to ensure more women and more economic power. The Goalkeepers Report is the product of a year-round work by many people at the Gates Foundation and their partners. And he said, I'm proud of their work and encourage them to keep working hard at this goalkeeper goal. That's part New World Order, isn't it?
It is definitely part of the New World Order. He's funding people, like you said about India, funding people out of India. He funds people from the slums in order to become henchmen in the court systems and things like that. So they can do due process and things. So yeah, it's just bad across bad.
Yeah, so he fits in the category of the secret societies that we're going to be talking about.
Very much right there.
So I thought that was a letter from him now, directly from him.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
See, that's what they do. They've done criminal activity to get where they are, to get the money they have. And then that's why they'll go with a one world society and do everything to make it happen, because then their slates are clean. Anybody that might, turn the tables on them is gone, and they just have their bad club.
Right. And that's what we're here. The Dave and Tom show is to try to enlighten people what's really going on, reading you some of the top headlines, but also going in a little deeper and giving you some reason why things are going on the way they are, because of billionaires and the deep states, and also the cabal and the New World Order that's just around the corner. And that's what's pushing all this agenda from billionaires. Let's face it, the world banks control this world, right, Tom?
Absolutely. The banks are the top of the pyramid, along with royalty. They're the top of the pyramid.
Right.
Bloodlines are very important. The banks run the systems. The government agencies would be nothing if their funding was cut. Same with the religious right. All these different cabal members would be nothing if their funding got cut. All
right, we're going to take a break at this point. We're halfway through the show, the Dave and Tom show, and we'll be right back. And this is WDY Radio, and it's OdysseyRadioLive.com, and that's my buddy Eddie there. So we're going to take a break. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. And for you people watching us on video, that's just for the radio break. That's not for the video break. Tom and I just sat here and kind of smirk at each other.
I changed my pose to make it look like
change your pose. I'm not trying to cover up my bald head now. My two teethies have been brushed. They're fine. But no,
I never noticed it.
I had a couple of comments from But I told him, I said, you're just jealous because I can eat a pumpkin through a picket fence,
Got a good heart, my man. Good heart.
But we're here to cover the current events and also the secret groups behind it. And this is our second part of the show, and WDY Radio. That is actually OdysseyRadioLive.com out of Maryland. And Eddie's the man there who is in charge. So we're going to continue on the show. We're going to talk about now a lot of the secrets that we're going to pull back the curtain on some of these things that we just talked about. To give people a perspective or a definition of deep state, the deep state actually started in Turkey. I'm not sure if you know that, Tom. They talked about the type of governance made up potentially secret and unauthorized networks of power operating independently of that nation's goals. And they call it the, shadow governments, expression state within a state. That's why it's a deep state. In an older and similar concept, historically designated as well-defined organization which seeks to function independently, whereas the deep state refers more to the hidden organization seeking to manipulate public state. This is Wikipedia. This is not me. This is Wikipedia talking this. This is research. Potential sources of deep state organizations include rogue elements among organizations of state, such as the armed forces, or public authorities, such as intelligence agencies, police, secret police, administrative agencies, and government bureaucracies. And I won't talk about what this has been recently coming up the last 6 years, and we won't get into politics on that. I'll take an FBI magic marker to that one. So,
yeah. Oh my God. Do you know, I always want to say something, Dave.
Yeah.
Anywhere, it's like a playground, nations, a playground. And you know how a bully doesn't want any other kid to be more popular or get attention beyond his control and who he says can be? That's what our world's like right now. And our country could declare war on any country in the world. We could come up with an excuse. We could come up with a reason. We could create a reason, just like our courts fabricate things with like Bill Gates Foundation's funded attorneys. So the cabal really does have a way to, they call it the chess game. That's why they call it a chess game. It control the courts, control the nations. So just think of that, how other nations are concerned and legitimately are concerned. Safety of their people. Because our country can come up with any excuse, and like you hit our destroyer, your aunt eats babies. It's like anything could happen where we could cause someone who maybe a country may be rising in their sphere of influence to be brought down. And I think that's an important thought to establish. What really is the reasons, motivations, like they say in acting, you know, what is it you want? And if we look at that in the nation sphere, our country wants it all. And I think, like I said, we need to play nice with everybody else.
Whoever pops up that red flag first, I guess, is good.
Whoever's getting more influence, whoever's being, they don't want their influence diminished. The cabal does not want their influence diminished. And the banks have a big say on who goes to war. And the media is their oh boys.
Ever since 1968, I get into that in my book in Senseless Wars, and I get into how that all started back in '68 in the Vietnam War, the deep state working with the media and everything. I don't want to get in politics, but that's it. Okay, here's what the deep state may refer to: plans for an emergency government that takes over in the event of a disaster, or continuity of government. So they have those types of plans in their playbook. A government run by an unelected bureaucracy or branch of the security services.
Oh, God help us.
See section cases. A state within a state or deep state. Specific examples include deep state in Turkey and deep state in the United States. They mention those two countries. An opposition grouping in the parliamentary system. See shadow cabinet in England, especially in the cases of NU experienced by the ruling party. Popular understanding. A shadow government, conspiracy theory of a secret government. And you've heard him talk about that, and you heard a specific person talk about that. I don't know when you mention his name.
They're setting up loopholes. What's happened is we've outgrown our systems because big corporations, political factions have learned to exploit the loopholes that are supposed to give us our freedoms. And they know how to pull the plug on our freedoms through disasters, false flags, things like that. And that's not conspiracy, that's a fact. And when you're inside the cabal, you know this. It's the go-to play. And so when you're creating loopholes, you're creating something you're going to exploit later. So it's just, this is horrible. This is really bad.
Talking about the deep state, that was talked about the last 6 years. We won't go into politics, but actually it's employees with the government. There's tens and thousands of them with the government that have political parties of their own. I mean, they're biased. Some of them are biased. And of course, right now, I think the party that's in power now outnumber the party that just got out of power. So I don't want to mention politics, but people have to know that there are people in the government that stay there. They're not elected. They stay there for 20, 30 years. And these people are not too far underneath the big dogs in the FBI, CIA, and DOJ. And they're there still. So they're still pushing their own agenda. And that's the deep state. So you have an agenda in the military, but that's kept more private or quiet or secretive, because the military don't want that out. But in every department, there's a deep state. There's a divide, political divide, just like
there's a structure that of a hierarchy, like a pyramid, that calls the shots to match the cabal's desired outcomes. And a lot of the people that work in these systems are tested ahead of time and asked, what do you think of this? Just like I was grilled by the religious right. What do you think of the Better Business Bureau asking for our records? I'm supposed to respond that the Better Business Bureau can't ask for them because you answer to God, Pat Robertson. Yeah. That's the right answer he wants, apparently. But the thing is that it's like these guys, they control every outcome, every scenario, even in the courts. And the curtain really is the politics and the media.
Right.
That's the curtain. Yeah. You're not hearing what's behind the curtain. You're not seeing what's behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. We're able to, and look what they do to your numbers.
Right.
As we tell it.
Now I want to get to, we're moving along. Got a lot of work, and we could do 2 shows on this probably, Tom. I've got a lot of research on this, and we are going to put together, you got a documentary that you're working on, Tom, and it's going to deal with a lot of this stuff and what's happened to you personally. So we're looking forward to that. He can't hold that paperwork up like I did. I cheated. I held the books up. But
that's great.
He's got work that's out there that he's working on now that he can't hold up and read out to the public. But Tom Althouse is a screenplay writer, so he knows how to do all this stuff, and he's going to put that together. But hopefully we're gonna do our project before long too. And we've been talking to people, t-shirt salespeople. Trinkets, they sell trinkets and t-shirts in these secret societies. I think I want to order a t-shirt. I'm not sure.
Dave, you're illustrating it nicely. There's like the humor when you go through all this, all the horror and everything they throw, the cabal. At the end, you end up going, they're ludicrous. Right. It's just ludicrous. Yes. They're laughable, right. And that's the biggest thing they fear, is being laughed at. But they are. So you see us laughing a lot because we've gone through the ringer. We've gone through it. We've been approached. And it's like, it's ridiculous.
Yes,
and it'll be nice to return to common sense.
We have been approached, and we're going to have a guest soon. Tom and I both are going to be in on this interview. He's going to join me the first time with UFO Disclosure with Thomas Fiore, and he was just on a show last week, and he knows quite a bit about what's going on in that disclosure thing and the deep state that has something to do with it, and these other organizations that sell t-shirts. We'll get to that pretty soon, and we have been approached, so we're looking at that too. And now I want to get into another organization that a lot of people don't know much about, and neither do I. It's QAnon, and it has spread from 4chan to 8chan, in which I'm not familiar with that, and it has Reddit forums to mainstream social media sites. And they believe in the conspiracy spread rapidly across the United States and abroad. From October 27, 2017 to June 2020, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue identified over 69 million tweets. Now, the FBI, Ray, has talked about this organization and other organizations, so I'm free to talk about it. It's also sourced here by the Britannica. That's where I got this information. Britannica on the internet. So it's not our conspiracy talk, Tom. It's not us saying this. This is coming from sources, and it's actually coming from Vice. If you listen to Vice over the last 2 or 3 days, they've had a couple of shows on QAnon. They busted in a couple of organizations. They had My Pillow, Mike Lindell. They had him cornered, and he ran them out. It was kind of funny, It's just so they're calling each other fascists. So it's really funny how and this dialogue identified over 69 million tweets, 487,000 Facebook posts, and 281,000 Instagram posts mentioning QAnon related phrases or hashtags. We don't know what they're saying. They speak in rhyme and riddle, and they speak in jokes, and they're trolling, and they're elements of their internet culture, and they're looming especially large in the QAnon belief system, where phrases and concepts appropriated from a pair of films from the late 1990s. And here you go, Tom. This is going to hit you right smack between the eyes. QAnon believers claim that they have the red pill. They're red-pilled, a description of the process of the Enlightenment in the Matrix, 1999, and urged others to follow the white rabbit, aligned Matrix that was itself a reference to Lewis Carroll's Alice Adventures in Wonderland in 1865. Now you know about this one. Can
I
you?
know about everything about this.
Okay, let's tell us something about this, because you actually wrote the book Immortals, and which was stolen from you from a corrupt judge.
So Wachowski stuck in the White Rabbit because they were making it up as they go along off the original screenplay, and threw in what they're familiar with their small minds. And so they threw an Alice in Wonderland in, the Ghost from Train Man. So, I mean, the Train Man from Ghost. So no, what you have is QAnon. If a QAnon element says it's red pilled, it's with the FBI. If a QAnon element says it's blue pilled, it's on the good side. Really? So right now we have a way to determine now. So QAnon really is, I've got text after text I can show you from individuals that were in Q, that were approached by the FBI to work for them. Once they work for the FBI, they do what they call dumps. Thousands of dumps we're going to do today. Yeah. Now that's supposed to create noise among the public and distract and do nothing. And so these people do these dumps. I'm going to do 1,000 dumps today. That's the FBI's bought Q group. Right. So when you say QAnon, there's FBI controlled QAnon and bought. There's the other side of Q, which is good people that are working hard, and they're the blue side. Right. The red pill side is the very ones, the FBI, that helped the Wachowskis rip off the material.
Well, you have the DOJ, the FBI, and Homeland Security people out after these people. They said that they do a lot of destruction and damage. I haven't seen that yet, really. No. Yeah. I've seen destruction and damage 2 years ago from other.
The FBI is afraid of. The FBI is afraid of Q actually bringing the truth forward. So what they do is they buy off QAnon members to create trouble, and they even did that in my personal life. Right. They when I was with, I have a tape of a contact from Air Force Intelligence, and also approached by the FBI on a Saturday for 3-4 hours. I can show you these threads. And she was supposed to influence the lady I was with to bring me down. That's your FBI. Yeah. That's your FBI.
Right. And they're after, right now, they're afraid of dividing the country. Of course, Biden isn't helping any, and so the Ray has said the worst right now, the scariest part of our country right now is the terrorists within, homeland terrorists.
Yeah, that's the FBI. The terrorists within.
Well, they're part of it, but they're blaming QAnon. They're blaming MAGA. They're saying MAGA, and this is going to part us even more.
Well, see what they do. They buy off people, they put them in place, and then they say that they're terrorists. They're the ones putting them there and buying them in the first place. Thank God I got the emails and the texts and the messages on hard copy to show in our documentary just how the FBI does it.
Good. Now they're saying that dozens of Republican congressional candidates voiced their support for QAnon. Even Trump had something in Truth Social. I saw a little bit of that, and he said something out, in a video that he actually that he agreed that he knows about QAnon, and he knows there's 10,000 or so members of it, and they're saying General Flynn is actually the leader of it. And
no. General Flynn is the FBI part of it. Yeah, he's not. General Flynn is not the good side of it.
That's what Vice said. Vice said.
Okay, well, I'm just adding that he's not.
Right.
Not. In fact, he's with Robertson's group, Pat Robertson's group.
Then they put out Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congress lady, and Lauren Boebert of Colorado, being in, part of the QAnon, but I don't think they are.
It's all smoke. It's all smoke filling the room, Dave. Yeah. If we want to cut through clear to it, what it is, the FBI has found a way to subjugate our country by destroying intellectuals, people who have a heart and compassion, to maintain the power structure of the elite and the cabal, who they work with. And the banks help fund it. And they don't want to lose their funding. They don't want to lose their power. They've gone rogue. And that is proven by my sister being handled by one of the top FBI operatives who handled Ukraine, and also is in Pennsylvania congressman handling my sister, who became a monster in his watch.
Right. Well,
rewards off the charts.
Yeah. Britannica and also this Vice, they also said that the security advisor is Michael Flynn, Republican political operative Roger Stone, and 2 teams of forensic linguists used machine learning to analyze thousands of Q drops, and they determined that QAnon was most likely the work of South African software engineer Paul Ferber, and 8chan and 8kun administrator Ron Watkins.
They drop their own rumors. They drop their own rumors and create their own Wizard of Oz. It's the ones that are creating the current troubling QAnon is the FBI. It's a tool for them.
So what do you think? What do you think the goal is?
If you're guilty of creating something bad, you complain about it loudly.
All right. What's the goal, Tom?
The goal is to maintain power of the elite, set us up for the change the one world order, and to control that. See, they call it a chess game. It's on tape for their documentary, The Contacts. It's a chess game, they said, and they're afraid of Tom's power, they said. Your power because you've done interviews. Now, our numbers don't reflect it, but they're very afraid of the truth coming out. Should we get name credit back for our work? That's why they're touting the Wachowskis and the Red Pill and the White Rabbit right now. The FBI is doing that because the FBI was involved in the ripoff.
So now the FBI, CIA, and the DOJ are spending all their time looking for MAGA people, and they're not taking care of the crime across the country, in which the FBI should be on boots on the ground in Chicago, New York, and LA, taking care of this crime wave. And
let me tell you, Dave,
doing anything.
They're not looking for Magna. They just want people to think that. They're looking for gifted artists with a heart that are simply family people that they could rip off and make a fortune and maintain control in our world and service the cabal and the elite and the banks. That's what the FBI is doing. And also subjugate Ukraine into a thug state where the people are experimenting on. That's what the FBI is doing. And they get their own guys as congressmen, which is a contradiction of what founding fathers had set up as checks and balances, to be Congress and lifelong FBI and be part of the sex rings, controlling the members of families of people that are targets and have done nothing wrong, hauling them off day and night on false 302 charges that they're going to be mass murderers. That's the FBI.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the
they're fascists.
The sex ring and the trafficking. Here's an article from UPI, September 18th. A top official in Moscow said that the authorities are working to place 125 Ukrainian children described as orphans taken from the occupied Donetsk province of Ukraine with Russian families. All the children who were brought in have already received Russian citizenship and are being settled under Russian law. And this is the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. They said, Lola Bolova said that Russia's psychologists went to Donetsk and conducted psychological testing with the children. There's more to it than that. Each child has an opportunity to choose from 3 or 4 families that they communicated with via video link up. And also they're saying the psychologists took this compatibility into account, linking up people with kids with families. But how do we know where those kids are going?
Well, I think I would venture it might be legit that this is the one chance these kids might get to get out of a Ukraine controlled by people like Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Congressman FBI, that has gone over to destabilize that country by getting rid of their Attorney General equivalent, Victor Strokholm, which Trump complained about and has been supportive of Biden and religious rights, Robertson.
Right. Well,
but what I'm saying is, I think the best chance these kids have probably is Russia families. I know a lot of people from Russia, and they're good people.
So you think this is a kind of a good move to say?
I think it might be legit. I'd like to know more about it, but I think it might be the best chance these kids have from a state controlled by the Pentagon, sending people like Brian Fitzpatrick to destabilize it, and then sending him again now.
That's the UPI.com that had this story. The forcible transfer of children of one group of people to another is a violation of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. The U.S. Treasury Department, U.S. State Department on Thursday announced that a slew of new actions against 22 officials in Russia, including Lola Bolova.
You know what? They're calling it forcible. Listen to the language. Forcible. Right there is coloring it.
Right.
This is how they work. You should see what they call me. Everything under the sun, right? And it's like you don't get a word in edgewise. So my bet's on Russia doing the right thing. My bet, check me in the future, is that Russia's going to actually help those kids, and they would be terrorized if they were under U.S.-controlled Ukraine.
Right.
The FBI would harm them.
So when I read that story, it's hard. Who can you believe? There's so much misinformation.
I would believe Russia over the FBI and the Pentagon.
Oh, okay. Let's get to the Illuminati. That's part of the deep state, the cabal, and everything else. It was founded by Professor Adam Weishaupt in Bavaria May 1st, 1776. And it's actually illumination through reason. It's inspired by the spread of enlightenment across Europe. And that's what they're doing here. They're copying off of Bavarian Illuminati, referred to as perfectionabitualists, or something like that, were broken into tiers of increasing power and drawn societal elites, including noblemen like Farmer Mason, Freemason Baron von Krieg. So just like you said, they get a hold of people that they can use as an asset. And what happened to the Illuminati? The organization flourished before being stamped out by Karl Theodor of Bavaria, who issued an edict making membership in Illuminati punishable by death in 1787. But the death of Bavarian Illuminati did not quell gossip about the clandestine activities. So they're saying that they were involved in the French Revolution and an assassination of a president. I'm not saying who or what. This is history. It's called, the source is history, is what I'm looking up on this. So we don't know about that. And Dan Brown's Angels and Demons was also taken from the Illuminati story. But we know a little bit about the Illuminati. And
go back to what you want. Like, what do they want?
Yeah.
What is the objective? What do they want? It's a very important question. And it's interesting is that you can be in multiple organizations, much as the Cabal is in multiple crossover organizations, training personnel back and forth. They do it in the studios everywhere else. So the Masons' goals, the goals of the Masons, which I've been a part of, the goals of the Masons could read just like Illuminati: to be a brotherhood, to make a better world, to take care of your own and the families of your own, and to make sure that, we have the secrets, that we keep these secrets, and that we share these secrets, and we are enlightened and illuminated.
Right.
What's the difference?
But here's the difference, though. In further research that I went into, is that they want a one world currency. They don't want any borders. You can see that happening now.
That's what the Cabal wants.
Yeah. That's what they want, and that's for sure. Okay.
That's what the Masons is. As a Mason, anybody anywhere in the world, regardless of your nation, you're a brother. You're a one world society of brothers.
But under the 34th seat, you're just a normal VFW type club member. And just like the Knights Templar, same thing. It's only the higher ups, like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin in 1776, they were above the 34th seat. They were in the top secret seat, so they knew all the secrets.
They did.
Yes.
What architecture did they choose? What architecture did they emulate? We have the different columns that we talk about, the Corinthian and other ones. They chose ancient Rome and Greco-Roman. That's what they chose.
Right.
So it's like theirs gives you a clue of the society they want to emulate. And so America became really the second Roman Empire.
Right.
We really are the ones modeled after the Roman Empire. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if it's handled properly.
Right.
But it hasn't been handled properly.
Yeah. Knowing some of these Illuminati groups, there's a couple of them that are commercialized. They sell T-shirts and trinkets, like I make fun of. But there actually is a level of Illuminati that's still going. But we don't know all the insides of it. A little bit about it, I guess a lot about it, but a lot of people don't know the real Illuminati still exists. We have T-shirt sellers out there, but they're just a smokescreen.
Right. Do you know what the big goal is? To have a sustainable planet where it is the elite that are on it. We know that part, but also that fair trade. We're still in the mercantile situation, the shippings, oceanic trade.
Right.
They want trade that is uninterrupted by the elite handling it all. And so they want a peaceful, economic, functioning planet that is sustainable with the people they choose that are desirable, with the undesirables removed off of it.
The white hats, Tom, got to move on. We're running out of time.
Okay, go ahead.
So fast. The white hats country is destined to set an example, and they say that it is only a matter of time before the Cabal would turn inward and destroy the last flicker of freedom on the planet. That's what the white hats are saying. That organization, I've got information on, but we don't have time. And then we got the Skull and Bones, in which Bush was involved in it. President Taft was involved in it. So that's another secret society. It seemed like a lot of presidents come out of that Skull and Bones society.
Yeah. Can I say something really quick about these societies too?
Yeah.
People probably have a fixed notion often that this one's bad, this one's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they work. Take it from somebody who's been approached by all these different factions,
right,
including even mafia. They'll come in going like, I want to help you. And then they'll go, I want to help you. Then they'll come in, I want to help you. No, I want to help you. They go back and forth with you, and they go back and forth with each other. It is like molecules that are heated up in a boiling pot. They are not sedentary where they are just, you know, this one's good, this one's bad. They're going in and out of it. Watch for Disney to change its views and maybe even take on a benevolent role in the future here. I keep trying to encourage it because they're asking about my material. So these different organizations often function on what's in it for me, even down their individual members. What can they gain? And how will I look good?
Right.
What might image be like?
It's
that's flux.
Massive confusion. I guess we're going to have to, we're going to have to go. We've used up this hour. We have so much to talk about. We'll talk about the white hats and the skull and bones later. We didn't get around deep into that. But people, we want you to be enlightened that there are things going on behind the scenes, behind these news events. So you're listening to the Dave and Tom show, Tom Althouse and myself, Dave Emmons, and we're being, I guess, audio on radio with WDY Radio out of Maryland. Eddie Carson is the guy there, and it's OdysseyRadiolive.com. Thank you, and God bless everybody.